raise a hallelujah in the presence of mine enemies. And I'll raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. And I'll raise a hallelujah. Oh, weapon is a melody. Oh, I'm gonna raise a hallelujah. Heaven comes to fight for me.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder, louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.
It says I'll raise a hallelujah. Oh, with everything inside of me. I'm gonna raise a hallelujah. Oh, I will watch the darkness flee. I'm gonna raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. I'm gonna raise a hallelujah. Fear you lost your hold on me. Says sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder,
Oh, sing a little louder.
sing a little louder,
Sing a little louder.
sing a little louder,
Oh, sing a little louder. I said sing a little louder.
in the presence of my enemy.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Louder than the unbelief.
Oh, sing a little louder.
My weapon is a
Oh,
melody.
sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
Sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Said sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
I'll raise a hallelujah. And I'm gonna raise a hallelujah. I'll raise a hallelujah. Raise a hallelujah. Help us sing it. It says raise a hallelujah. Oh, I'm gonna raise a hallelujah. Oh, I'm gonna raise a hallelujah. Gonna raise a hallelujah. I said sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder. I said sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
I'm sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
I said sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Louder.
Sing a little louder.
Louder, yeah.
Sing a little louder.
I'm gonna sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder. Praise the Lord, CrossPoint.
when the night is holding on to me. Night you're
walking around these walls, and I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me. Waiting for change to come, and knowing the battles won, for you have never failed me. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. And I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass, and my heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. Oh, and my heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, and this is my confidence. You never failed me yet. I've seen you move the mountains. I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains. I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again.
I'll see you do it again.
Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. Still in your hands, this is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. While we're here, let's just go ahead and sing this. It says, here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether worthy, all to me. Part of the song, it says, and I'll never know how much it cost to see my sins upon that cross. And I'll never know how much it cost to see my sins upon that. It says, and I'll never know how much it cost to see my sins upon that cross. And I'll never know how much it cost to see my sins upon that cross. So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. I give myself away. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can. It's as simple as that. I give myself away. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. Because my life is not my own. To him I belong. I give myself to you. My life is not my own. To you I belong. I give myself to you. One more time. It says, here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for letting us come into your house at such an early hour of the morning. We thank you for everything that you've done for us. We pray that something said or sung today will impact someone's young life. We thank you for everything you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You guys may be seated. All right, so tonight, most of you guys hear me a bunch of times, at least once a week. We do have a guest with us. This guy is, I would say he's one of my best friends in the world, but he's more like a brother. I wouldn't say that to his face, though, but yeah, I did. But this guy right here, he's been a big brother to me. He pushes me. He's a mentor. He gets on my nerves sometimes, but everybody should have somebody in their life like I have Brandon. So he is a teacher. He's from Henry County. He's a coach. Some of you probably know him either from Laurel Park or Bassett. But he's got an awesome testimony for you guys. So just your full attention for Brandon.
Oh, Lord. There we go. All right, and I probably messed up here, but thank you, Tyler. I don't say it to him enough, but he pushes me more than he'll ever know. He asked me to do this, and I love talking. I love talking. If you know me, I can talk your head off. We can sit and talk for hours about anything. I've always been a talker. I get it honest. If you know my mama, she talks. I love talking, but this was a little different. Tyler said, man, we're doing a house party. We got a bunch of youth coming in, and you know, I think both of us have the same goal in mind. We want to mentor the youth as much as we can. But instead of me having a theme talk about, you know, I've talked about all in, I've talked about being all in, I've talked about our motto, I've spoken at church, but I've never really given my testimony. Never really given my testimony. My whole life, I've been a great listener, real good at listening, real good at talking to other people, other individuals about their problems, real good at that stuff. Never have I publicly given my testimony. Now, some people here may know me throughout different parts of my life. Tyler, Coach Johnson, Daryl's in the building. We talk as men, as coaches together. We talk about different things. They've heard bits and pieces, but I've never really given my testimony and what's led me to this point today. So I'm gonna tell you my whole life story, and I'm gonna try to sum it up in about 5 minutes. Is that good? 5? Okay, I'm kidding. No, 1988 seems like forever ago, but this was the year that a choice was made. A choice was made by my mom and my dad to partake in an action that led to me being here. All right, we're smart enough to know what that is. We don't have to have that talk. But my mom was 18 years old. 18 years old, just graduated high school. Just graduated high school, and she's about to have a baby boy. My dad was about to be 21, 22, and his life was revolved around selling drugs at the time. Him and my mom decided to keep me. Thank the Lord, right? Thank the Lord, I'm here. But they made a choice to bring a son into the world, not having a clue what that meant. Not having a clue. They both were babies themselves. So in 1998, my mom had me, and she almost died having me. She had an allergic reaction to the anesthesia that they had to give her before they gave her a C-section to get me in here into the world. So she almost died. So for 3 days, she didn't get to hold me. She didn't get to touch this baby boy she had been carrying for 9 months. My grandmother did. My dad was there. He held me. And I'll talk a little bit later about that first moment you hold your child. But he held me, and I can only imagine the things he was telling me. I can only imagine, you know, I'm his first son. And I'm here. He's young. He's making money in ways he shouldn't have been making money. But he was doing everything he thought was right. We all have a choice. We all have a choice. In 1988, I was dealt a deck. I was dealt a hand in life. A hand I had no control over. This hand has no meaning in any game of cards you will play. Really, no meaning. I was dealt that hand. I had no control over that circumstance. I had no control over being born to an 18-year-old mother and a 21-year-old father who was selling drugs. I had no control over that. I had no control over what was going to happen next. A year later, my baby brother was born. So my mom's 19, going on 20. My dad's 22. Now they got 2 kids. And I couldn't imagine. I'm 31 right now, and I got 2 kids, and you see I'm bald. I'm bald. Probably 2 years ago I was, and I had a full head of hair. Now I got to shave it all because having 2 kids is tough. So I couldn't imagine. On top of that, my dad has a lot of people coming in and out. because he's doing what he does at that time. Selling drugs, abusing drugs, alcohol. My mom's sticking with him, trying to stick with him. They're going to get married. She's envisioning this life that she always dreamed of as a little girl. She just made some choices that led to her doing it a little backwards. So at 21, my mom decides to walk away from my dad. I was probably 3, my brother was 2. It was about 2 weeks before they got married. She said, I'm no longer going to go to bed at night with a knife under my pillow wondering which person was going to come home. Was it going to be the dad that was abusive? Was it going to be the one that was loving? She never knew. He'd come in high, drunk, excited, angry, whatever. Never knew. So she decided to leave that situation. She couldn't go back home. She wasn't accepted at home by her stepdad and her mother because she had just had a son, 2 kids, by a black man. And they didn't like that. She couldn't go home. She didn't have a lot of money. So we bounced from place to place about the first six years of my life. We bounced from place to place. And I had no control over that. I had no control over the choices that were made. But here I am, little baby Brandon, with my grandmother and my mom. And then my brother over here to the right's in the picture with me. The early years of our lives went like this. I lived in Roanoke with my grandmother for a little bit. My mom moved to Martinsville with my little brother. 6 months separated. And I got to move back to Martinsville with my mom. And when I say move, we moved into her boyfriend's grandmother's basement. A cinder block basement, wasn't finished. We had a full bed, and I would never forget it. Because I thought we had something. Hey, I was with my mom and my brother. We're sleeping in this basement that, man, on the wall, spiders, bugs. I'm having to lay my head down and go to sleep at night. I was a kindergartner. I was in kindergarten when this happened. Well, before I hit first grade, we moved to Bassett in an apartment complex. This apartment, we had our own. It's the first time I can remember us having something that we could call home that was ours. Living in this apartment complex, though, brought upon some challenges. Me and my brother finally got to see some things in the real world that we hadn't got to see to this point. Mom kind of kept us from it. But the things that I remember from these years, early elementary school years, was my mom getting beat by boyfriends, drug up steps. I couldn't control that. I mustered up this anger inside of me towards men because my father wasn't here to take care of me or to protect my mama from this man that's hitting on her. I'm 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, why does she keep doing this? Then I start to see older kids in the complex start smoking. I was probably 8 years old. The first time I tried to smoke a cigarette and I thought I was going to die. My lungs about popped out of my chest. I started coughing real hard. And somebody told my mom, hey, we caught your son smoking behind the building. They were with some older kids. And she didn't fuss at us. She fussed at the older kids because they gave it to us. But what she didn't know is I helped steal them cigarettes. They used me to help steal them cigarettes. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be liked. And you'll hear that as a theme as I go throughout my testimony is I always was looking for acceptance. I wanted to be accepted because I felt like since my dad wasn't there, it had to be because of me. I was his first son. If he loved me, he would be here. It had to be because of me. He had another son, so he could maybe he'll love him. He didn't love him either. He loved drugs. He loved cocaine. He loved money. He loved alcohol. He loved crack. He loved all the other things in this world. He loved the temptation of the world. So it was just me, my mom, and my brother. I always felt like I had to be the man in the house. Had to be the man. The last time I seen my mom get hit, I can remember reaching for a glass on the table. I was at my babysitter's, and the guy drugged my mom out of the apartment. I can remember reaching for a glass, and I just wanted to go hit him with it, and she grabbed me. She grabbed me. I had so much anger built up. It took me a while to gravitate back towards men because all men to me were my father who wasn't there, who didn't love me, and this guy who keeps beating on my mom. So that was my vision of a man. But God started to place people in my life early. He started to place people in my life. I was going to a daycare, Fairway Baptist. It was in Bassett. I started going to daycare there. They started picking us up for Sunday school. I started getting into Sunday school, going to church. So I knew about church. I didn't know if I really believed in a God at the time because I had a lot of questions. Like if Jesus and God are so good, why is my mom getting her tail whooped? If they're so good, why doesn't my home look like their home? Why does this person have their mom and dad and I don't? So I had all these questions and I was young. About 8 years old, my dad came to visit. He just pops up at the apartment one day. And just like any little boy would do when they see their dad, you're going to run to him. Dad, hey, what's up? Hey, hugged him, kissed him, loved on him. My dad sent us outside to play. He wanted to talk to my mom. So we're outside playing. Next thing you know, my mom comes outside screaming. My dad comes outside mad. I was like, what's going on? Mom, why is Daddy leaving? We thought he was here to stay. Why is he leaving? We're grabbing onto our dad, this guy who has never been here for us, and wanting to leave with him and leave our mom who's done everything for us. I could only imagine the hurt in her. But two little boys, we were yearning for that fatherly love. When I was about 15 or 16 years old, I got the real story of that day. I started asking questions. I got the real story. My dad tried to rape my mother. He was high. He wasn't in his right mind. I can remember being mad at my mom for kicking him out. But at 16, she told us the truth about that time. But my mom was a fighter. She was a fighter. And if you know my mom to this day, she's still a fighter. But that's just one event that happened. I'm just like, thank God it didn't happen. Thank God it didn't happen. Thank God my mom didn't say, hey, you go with your dad. Go with him. You want to go with him? Thank God that never happened. So as I got into elementary school and I started to get involved in the sports, my mom kept us in anything to try to keep our minds on positive. Sports was an avenue for me. But the other avenue for me was being accepted, making friends, being a class clown, or being the teacher's pet. I know some of you thinking, how are you the class clown and a teacher's pet? Well, y'all know those times the teachers might step out of the classroom? That's when I done my dirt, okay? I done my dirt when they left, when they came back in. Hey, how are you? And I was real nice, okay? That worked for me all the way through high school. It really did. It worked, okay? Even to this day, teachers love me, and I'm like, I don't know why, okay? But I wanted to be accepted by everybody. I wanted to have friends that were in every circle. My life was surrounded around how others felt about me. And that started at a young age because I didn't get accepted by the one that I thought should love me the most, my father. We get into middle school and high school. Oh, man. This guy. Everybody started growing their hair out long. I grew mine out. And I thought I was cool. Like, y'all don't understand that. When I look at these pictures, I laugh now because I had the same heart back then. I just didn't have the same mindset. And it's probably a mindset a lot of you have. There's probably somebody sitting out here right now that thinks you have to alter who you are to fit in with the group. You have to alter who you are to fit in because maybe at home you don't fit in. Maybe at home you don't like being at home. You didn't choose your home. You didn't choose who brought you into this world and what type of hand you were dealt. You choose what you want next. This guy right here still wanted acceptance. Acceptance. Before I got to this, there was a God moment, and I'm going to talk about these God moments, okay? These God moments where I really didn't believe, but God kept talking to me. I was 9 years old, going to the 5th grade. I moved to Figsboro. We moved into a trailer, a single-wide trailer. And when I tell you we thought it was a mansion, we thought it was a mansion. I finally had my first bedroom for the first time. Finally got my own room, got my own TV, got a door to my room I could shut, and I didn't have to hear anybody else. If any of you have ever felt that feeling, you know what I'm talking about right now. Some of you have never felt that feeling because you've never had your own room yet. But I had my own room for the first time. I got to be around family, cousins. Growing up, we were in a trailer park, so it was a lot of kids. Some families, some were older, high schoolers. But what happened here, I got to hang in with an older crowd. And I was 9 years old, about to be 10. I was with two of my cousins, and there was this girl. And it was the first time in my life the sex word came up. The first time I was 9 years old. I'd been exposed to different things in my life, but never once have I been put in a situation where, man, hey, we're gonna go have some fun. Come with us. I told you I wanted to be accepted. I couldn't say no. Oh man, let's go. She's pretty, let's go. So I went. My cousin's grandparents were gone. They were gone. Had a house to ourselves. I'm 9 or 10. My other cousin's 11, and one's 12 or 13. The girl's about 13. At this point, I'm like, yeah, we got a girl. And I get put in this situation where, hey, man, go in the room with her. I'm going to go first, you go next. Have no clue what they're talking about. But I'm like, yeah, let's do it, yeah. So my cousin goes in the room, and when it's my turn, I'm thinking, oh, Lord. I'm starting to shake. Brandon, come on, go. I'm like, something, Lord. This is one of them times where you're like, Lord, if you get me out of this, I'll never do it again. Well, about that time, I get in the room, door shuts, and I'm shaking. I'm nervous. A car pulls in the driveway. Y'all, we got to go. Grandpa home, we got to go. So we run out the back door, the basement. And I was thanking my lucky stars the whole time because I was nervous. About to try to do something and make a decision like that in my life at 9 years old based on what somebody else was doing because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in that bad that I was about to make a life-altering decision. But God made something happen. He stalled my thinking. I got nervous. So as I get into high school, middle school age, about 13 years old, I experienced alcohol and drugs for the first time. I had seen it, but when I was about 10 or 11, we played basketball out around behind my trailer, and some guys, older guys, were passing a joint around. Hey, y'all pass this over there. So I took it. I was going to pass it, but I was going to try what they were trying. So I went to do this, and one of the older guys, man, he punched me as hard as he could right in my jaw. It's like, I don't want to see you do that. That's not the life for you. Stunned I was. Oh, I won't do that. And I passed it on. But about 13, 14 years old, I experienced alcohol and weed for the first time at the same time. When I tell you I don't remember a whole lot about that night, I don't. But what I do remember is I had no control over my actions, no control over my thoughts, no control over my body. I made a decision to do what everybody else was doing. I made that decision because I lacked the guidance. I lacked the positive people in my life that should have told me, hey, don't do that. Do not do that. I lacked what you all have going right here. If y'all look around this room, there's somebody with your story, you just don't know it. But you got a support group. I didn't have that growing up in church. When I came up in church, we sat in the pew with our parents and listened to the pastor talk about what we didn't understand. And if I tried to fall asleep, I was going to get smacked by the usher. One of those churches where we talk about it all the time. If you're chewing bubble gum too loud, they come with their white glove and you got to spit it out. A lot of y'all don't know anything about that. A church where you got to excuse yourself to go to the bathroom by sticking up your hand as you're walking out the pew. A lot of you hadn't experienced that, but I have. Strict. I didn't like anything about church. I can't chew gum. I can't eat. I'm hungry. I couldn't do none of that. So when I got to be a teenager, Waking up on a Sunday morning, I was looking for every excuse. Mama, I'll clean the house. You go to church, we'll clean the house for you. Mama, you're tired, Mom. You ain't got to go to church. You're tired. You worked all night. My mom worked 2 jobs my whole life. She worked 2 jobs. She's working 2 jobs to this day. So I used every excuse. Mama, you ain't got. That's a long ride to go to church. Mom, you got to go to work tonight. So my mama started laying out of church. And we was happy about that because I did not want to go be bored. That's what I thought. That's what I thought about church. At this time in my life, man, that's boring. I didn't have what you have. I didn't have somebody speaking to me about the problems I would be facing. You all have that, and I think you're very blessed to have that. You should feel honored to have that. So, I laugh at this all the time because I've told this story to a group of 8th graders last year. Time I was 15, 16, I was a 10th grader. I'll never forget that. I was a 10th grader. Had another God moment. How many of us in here have ever been to a party? Anybody in here ever been to a party? I know more people than that's been to a party. If you got a parent in here, kind of throw your hand up like this. Look, I was at a party. And to tell you a little something about this guy really wanted to fit in. This guy loved being the center of attention. This guy loved girls. This guy loved making everybody laugh. He had a mindset of, man, whatever happens. But this guy also had a big heart. I feel like I've always had a big heart. I just didn't have the mind to match it. My heart's always been big. But at this party, and I'm going to try to get y'all an image to visualize this with me. We're in a basement. It's real small. It might be the size, half of this stage. We're in a small space right off Askin Street. When I was driving to the church tonight, I passed the street. We're in this small house. And I'm on the wall, I'm dancing. I'm having a good time. One of them songs came on at the time everybody loved, we're dancing. And it might have been a Nelly song, Getting Hot in Here or something, man. We was dancing. And right to the right side was the basement door. My cousin, who I love to this day, he's more like a brother to me. He walks in the door, and I'm dancing. And I see him, I'm like, yo. He says, we got to go. Get outside. Get outside? You see I'm dancing? I tried to ignore it. Like, man, I'm not going out there right now. It's cold, and I'm trying to have fun. I see him again. He yelled, hey, Brandon, come on. Get outside. Hurry up. I'm thinking, okay. I'm processing what's going on out there because this looks serious. Somebody probably about to fight. I had an older cousin who seemed like he was always getting us into stuff, but we was always right there with him because that was Big Brother. So we step outside. I step outside. I'm pretty much forced outside at this time. They're just pulling me. Come on out. Okay, go out. And on the bank, there was a bank leading up to the road. Right at the bottom of the bank stood 5 guys. I knew exactly who they were. I got their faces right in my mind. They stood right there in front of us. 5 of us, 5 of them. I'm liking my odds because I know who I got to my left and my right. We about to fight. My cousin has done something wrong to one of them. It's going to be a fight. They went to a rivaling high school, already didn't like each other. Because back then we didn't have social media. We didn't have things that kind of linked us with other high schools that made us friends, or we didn't party with other schools. We didn't mingle. So it was a lot of tension here. So I'm standing there ready to fight. Y'all all know that stance you get, hey, we got to go. I'm thinking to myself, I hope he can't fight. The one in front of me, I hope he can't fight. He's kind of bigger than me, so I was praying. But in one moment, and all 5 of us might tell this story just a little different because it kind of went quick. All I see is a pistol come out of the boy's hip, just like that. He was a year older than me. I know him to this day. And he aimed it. So I'm standing here, and I got a pistol in my face. I'm in a situation that I have nothing to do with this. I'm just the cousin of the guy y'all are mad at. I've gotten pulled out of this party, having fun, trying to make a good decision, but I got pulled out. And when that pistol came out, and it's right in my face, The barrel looked like it was that big, and it was probably a little gun. Tyler knows I have no clue about guns. I can't tell you what it was, but it was probably real small, but the barrel looked like it was this big. And when he pulled it, being who I was, I got these people right here looking and listening. What's going to happen? Are we going to run? Well, that wasn't in my mind at the time. I don't know. It was one of them things where I wish God would have took over like right now, because the next thing that came out of my mouth really could have turned bad. He pulled it, and I said, if you're going to pull it, you better shoot it, just like that. And at that moment, it just everything went blank, and I was like, don't shoot it. Please don't shoot it, you know. But he pulled it, and he's standing there. Two guys that my cousin was friends with, they were at the neighboring house. They were older than us. They walked from behind us, and I'll never forget seeing them come out the side, because I'm trying to think right now, how am I going to get out of this situation? They come out. One of them pulls up his shirt. He pulls out two guns, just like this. It says, do we have a problem? It's like something you see in a movie. But I promise, like, it was the most terrifying thing that happened to me up to that point. So that happened. He pulls them out. Do we have a problem? I'm like, yes, he has two. They have one. Maybe this time we're getting out of this. The guy puts his gun back and says, we'll finish this later. It ain't over yet. Whatever. I'm like, it's over right now. That's all I needed. We get in the car. And how many of you ever been upset in your mom or dad's car or somebody's car, and you're mad, pouting in the back, and your head goes straight to the glass? And you're just sitting there with that sad puppy face? Well, mine was a little worse. My face looked like my daughter's does when she has a temper tantrum. Snot, tears everywhere. I'm just boo-hooing on the window. And they're like, Brandon, why you crying, man? Ain't nothing happened. I said, man, he could have shot me. I could be dead. I could be gone. One bad decision by him could have led me to my grave and him to jail. One bad decision. And at that time, I'm going to tell you where I was going. I was going straight to hell because I asked him to do that. I didn't have God in my life at the time. I was making terrible decisions. Friendships were ruined by the decisions I was making just because I wanted to fit in. It was terrible. But everybody still loved me. My teachers loved me. I had a pretty good rep. A bad rep with girls, pretty good rep with friends. Like it was all over the place for me at this time. Just looking for acceptance. So that night in that car, I decided, man, you will never catch me at another party in a bad situation. I'm going to know who's there. I'm going to know who I'm with. I'm going to know everything about where I'm at. Because so many people, so many young people have been put in a situation that it was not their choice. But it was your choice to go to the place. It was your choice. And as a teacher and a coach now, I have these conversations all the time. Know who you're with. Know what you're doing. So God spoke to me at this moment and was like, you got to make a change. You got to make a change. So I made a change. On the left up here is a picture of my college graduation. My college graduation. I'm standing in this picture with a man who let me down so many times. So many times, because I wanted him to be somebody he wasn't ready to be. That's my father. He came to my college graduation. Didn't come to my high school graduation. Only came to 2 sporting events I ever played in. One football game he came to. It was a regional final at Bassett against Magna Vista. We were battling. We went to double overtime. I scored the game-winning touchdown. And my dad was standing on the fence the whole game. Right in the end zone, I scored. I can remember I scored. I looked at the camera because, remember, I was cocky. I looked at the camera first, and then I went to look for my father because he's here. I want to share this moment with him. Even though he hasn't been with me my whole life, I was still searching for a relationship with a man who didn't care about me. He wasn't there. So I asked my uncle. I couldn't even be excited about the game anymore. I asked my uncle, where'd Dad go? Where'd he go? Man, Brandon, he said he got too cold. He left. When'd he leave? About halftime. Like, really? Really? I was so excited that he was there to see me. So excited. Why was I excited? Because it was a guy I really loved. I loved him. He didn't love me. Or he did, he just didn't know how to show it. So I went on to college and was the first person in my family to go to college. First person. Big deal for me. It was a huge deal for me to finish. But college wasn't easy. I went to college to play football and basketball. Well, in Henry County, I was first team All-State, basketball, football. I was going to a small college, so I thought I was going to be the man. I went with that mentality of, I don't have to work hard. This is going to be given to me. Well, I stepped on the college campus. I didn't have one of them fairy tale things where your mom drop you off and help you pack your room up and set your dorm room up. No, my cousin dropped me off and said, all right, B, man, we'll see you in the weekend or next weekend. My mom had to work. She couldn't even take me drop me off at college. So I get there. I'm introducing myself to my new teammates. It's probably 100 mattresses on the gym floor. We're all having to sleep in the gym. And I get there and I'm like, man, they big. They real big. I started doubting myself then. Because I never felt like I didn't belong. Because I always belonged. Because I made myself fit in. This was something I couldn't do. It was hard. I lasted 1 week at college and it got too hard and I quit. I called people. Hey, I'm thinking about quitting football. The other side of the phone was people who loved me and they gave me what they thought I needed to hear. That's okay. Whatever you feel like, whatever you need. Whatever you feel is best for you. Well, at the time, what I needed somebody to say is, Brandon, suck it up. Things have never been this hard for you. You're not a quitter. Battle through it because it'll get better. I didn't have that. So I quit football. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made. I quit football in the first week and never got to experience college football. But I loved it so much, and that experience turned into me becoming a coach and being able to tell guys that go off to college, hey, this is what it's going to be like. If it gets tough on you, call me. One of those guys just took a graduate assistant spot. He's a college football coach now. He called me his first week in college when he got there and said, hey, man, you were right. I can't do this. I ain't going to make it. And I can't tell you some of the words I gave him, but I basically said, you're going to make it. You're going to make it because you're not going to quit. Battle through it. Call me in 2 weeks. Battle through it. Make it another week. Make it another day. Make the right choice right here. Do not give up. And he didn't. And now he's probably going to make a career out of football. So God interjected there. So when I quit football, I went into a depression. I gained 50 pounds. I was big as a house. I gained 50 pounds, went into a depression, stayed in my dorm room, only left my room when I had to go to class. My best friend for almost 10 years of my life was my roommate. He left college. He left the college we went to. We were roommates. He left first semester. So I had a room to myself. I just kind of dug myself in the corner. My high school girlfriend, who now we're still dating in college, she's there with me the whole time. Battling with me, trying to figure out the right words to tell me to get me out of this funk I was in. And the whole time I had this voice in my head, get up, Brandon. This ain't you. This ain't you. You need to fix this. So I decided my sophomore year and the junior year, go out for basketball. Try that. I did that for 2 years. Grades were awful. Grades were bad. I applied to be in the education studies program, and the advisor looked at me and said, we can't let you in. You got to have a 3.0 to get in this program. I begged and begged. And God put her in my life at the right time. She said, I tell you what, I love you. I had her in some other courses leading up to this, and she said, I know your story. She said, I want to give you an opportunity. She said, if you can maintain all A's throughout the education studies program, I'll have you in on probation. To this day, that changed me in college and led to this graduation day. Led me to that graduation day. I graduated college with above a 3.0, got all A's in the rest of my courses, and just started a newfound focus. Then I get into the real world. I graduate college, get into the real world, still wanting to be accepted. I proposed to my high school sweetheart, got married a year after just graduating college, got married, had no clue what marriage meant because I'd never seen it. Marriage to me was on a TV show. Marriage to me was coaches and their wives in my life. Marriage was my friends and their families. My family, a relationship was cheating, beating, lying. That was the relationship. Drugs, that was my form of relationship. People didn't stay long in my life outside of my family. So I took this step of trying to do things the right way. Trying to do things the right way. And I proposed to my wife. About 3 years later, I was 25, about to be 26. I had my daughter. That's the middle picture. Had my daughter. First time I held a child. And I can tell you exactly what I said. I looked at her and said, you will not get from me what I got from my father. I'm going to be here every step of the way. Well, at that moment, I lied to my daughter. I lied to my daughter because that was probably the toughest year of my life. And if you don't hear anything else, listen from this point on. When everything looked like it was perfect in my life, I had a wife, I had a nice house, I had a great job, I was coaching. We had just won, we was on the way to winning a state title within the next year at Magna Vista. I was surrounded by a lot of good people, a lot of people that loved me and I loved them. But they didn't have a clue what that guy in the middle holding his first daughter was going through. This weight of having to be the man again, having to be somebody's protector again, and not fully understanding marriage, not fully understanding what it means to be a father because I didn't have it. I just knew what I wanted. So the first year of my daughter's life, I was making excuses not to go home because I couldn't deal with a crying child. I couldn't deal with the late nights getting up. My wife was pretty much a single mother for the first year of my daughter's life. A single mother. I hit rock bottom. I'd take my daughter from Danville almost all the way to Collinsville every morning to her babysitter. And for about a 3-month span, I'd drop my daughter off. I'd get back in the car and think, I can't make it another day. There's somebody out here who's trying to fit in with a group, or that doesn't feel like they belong, and you thought, man, you know what? Maybe it's better if I'm not here. I had those thoughts. I had those thoughts to the point where I'd get in the car every day and look for the biggest tree or a guardrail that I could just run smack into, and maybe God would take me out of my misery and I wouldn't have to face life. I wouldn't have to face it. And then it started to boil over. None of my close friends knew what I was going through in my mind. Nobody knew of the mistakes I was making. Because I kept on this outer shell of, hey, how are you? Smiling, trying to be up for everybody, trying to be everybody's shoulder like I was. And in one moment, I had another God moment. I attempted to take my life. And in that moment, a voice, it wasn't my voice, was not my voice. At this time, I called myself a fake Christian. I showed up to church because my wife made me go on Sundays. But I'd go in, sit in the back pew, and leave. Didn't want to be involved. Really wasn't listening to the pastor. I wasn't worthy of that seat. That's what I was thinking. God doesn't love me. He knows what I'm doing. He knows the thoughts I'm having. There's no way he loves me. I'm messing up. So I tried to take my life. And I heard this voice, get up. You're better than that. Wipe yourself off. Get up. Ask for help. Never in my life I ever have asked for help. People's always asked me for help. I never went to anybody for anything because that's just not how I was. I had to ask for help for the first time in my life. I got the help I needed. I got admitted into a hospital for 5 days. For 5 days, I was in this place where I had no clue which direction my life was going to go. Was my wife going to leave me? Was she going to take my daughter? Would the same people who loved me before I got in here, would they love me when they find out what's going on? Will they love me when they know I tried to quit on my family and quit on everything that meant so much to me? Would they love me then? I always made people proud of me because I wanted that satisfaction and that gratification from everybody in my life. And I tried to end it like that. I tried to end it. I got to sit for 5 days and think, what would have happened if I'd have went through with it? What would have happened? This second picture would have never happened. The third picture over here would have never happened. My wife would be raising a daughter without me. I would have never got to experience the things I've experienced the last 5 years. That was just 5 years ago. 5 years ago. I attempted to leave this earth because I was scared. I was scared to ask for help, scared to go to somebody. And I got the help I needed. My wife stuck by me. That right there showed me the true meaning of a relationship, a marriage. When we say the vows and we say through thick and thin, she was with me through thick and thin. People who were in this room and knew me in high school, she was with me then through thick and thin, and she's been with me now. Because what you see in a person's life on the outside is not always what's going on the inside. It's not. And I was afraid. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of not being what I could be. So I started to make an effort at life. Be the father I need to be. Be the husband I need to be. But before all that, I need to get my life right with God. I need to get my life right. I never had an opportunity to sit in front and sit with a lot of kids my age and have a youth leader such as Tyler and Caleb and all these people who support you. Pastor like Carl, I never had that. Never. Closest I got to that is I used to watch Carl on Cable 18 on Sunday mornings when I was skipping church. I never had that. You all have an opportunity to have a support group that can understand you. I didn't. I ran away from those. I wanted to be accepted by everybody except for the church because I didn't understand it. How can you believe in something you can't see? I didn't understand faith. So when I left the hospital, my wife picked me up. I got to see my daughter. And I will never forget how I looked at my daughter once I got out. For a whole year, I thought my daughter hated me. Every time I held her, she cried. She screamed. Didn't want anything to do with me. Come to find out, my daughter was suffering from an eye disorder. She couldn't see. She could only see this close. What my daughter recognized was voices. You remember how I told you I didn't want to be at home? Because I didn't want to deal with the crying baby. I didn't want to deal with the stresses of being a father, so I made excuses to be away. Well, in that time, my daughter was bonding with her mother, with her grandmother. My daughter loved them. That's because she heard their voice all the time. That's what she was used to. So at 18 months, she got under a knife and had surgery on both eyes. And when she got to see the world, man, my daughter sees me now and it's like she's strictly daddy's girl. But for a year, I didn't understand that because I didn't ask questions. I thought I was failing because I'd always, in my back of my mind, the people closest to me, I didn't feel like showed me love. The people I wanted love from, my daughter and my father, my daughter didn't love me because she kept crying every time I tried to hold her. My dad didn't love me because he chose a drug over me. Came to my college graduation. Came to that. But didn't see me get married. Came to my engagement party drunk as a skunk because he didn't feel like he'd fit in with the crowd. So he drank all day. And I had to carry him out of there wobbly. Didn't come to my brother's graduation. My brother has always filled his hole with, I don't care about him, whatever. I always had a hole in my heart because I was thinking my dad would come right back in it and be the man that I thought he could be. So I left the hospital. I got right with God. First and foremost, I did that. 2-year span, I went from rock bottom. And one of the songs they just sang, He'll Move Mountains. In 2 years, in 2017, I became the best teacher, voted the best teacher in Henry County, Teacher of the Year. I got my dream job of being the head football coach at Bassett High School. And then, to put a little cherry on top, my wife was having a boy. My wife was having a boy, a son. And I remember the words I said to him. I held him tight, just like I did her. I said, you're going to have a better first year with your father than your sister did. And that was a promise. I wouldn't let him go. I had the son. I had the daughter. And when he was born, I just started asking, why? Why do I deserve this? I got real intentional with my prayer. My prayers went from begging for things Or telling God, hey, look, if you don't let me get caught this time, I won't do it again. Or, hey, I promise this is the last time. This is the last time. Well, they changed to started thanking God. Thank you for what I do have. Thank you for the breath you're putting in my body every day. That's showing me you love me. My son was christened into our church. My father never got to see me baptized. I was baptized young, and I didn't know what that meant. Had no clue. I didn't have people talking to me about what it meant to be saved, what it meant to be a follower of Christ, what it meant to really understand God's grace, because none of us are perfect. None of us have a perfect family. None of us are living a perfect life. But God still shows grace upon us. And on this day, I was real happy. You can tell because I was starting to eat more. I was getting real little chubby in the middle. And I had my family. I had my rock, my wife, standing right there beside me the whole time. And though she might have thought about leaving me alone, she held true to her vows to me. She held true and she stood strong. You want to know why she stood strong? Because that place she's standing in, she grew up in that place. She grew up in the church. She grew up wanting to save herself for marriage. That was one of the things I loved the most about her. It wasn't one of these easy girls that I could just go, hey, how you doing? Wink at them. And then, hey, that was it. I had to work for that. She told me straight up the first time I told her I liked her, she said, well, I can't stand you. You're arrogant. You got an ego. I don't like it. Now she's my wife. Now she loves me. And still says I'm arrogant sometimes, but hey, it is what it is. But this whole time, I'm searching for my father. Some of you might be searching for your father, wanting him to love you, or your mother, wanting them to love you. Some of you may not have either one of them. But you got people showing you their love, showering you with love, but it's not the same because that's not who brought you into this world. I understand the feeling. I had a lot of guys try to come in and play daddy. I had a lot of them. I didn't call them dad. My mom got married to a guy she started dating when I was in 6th grade, and I appreciate him every day. But I've never called him dad because he wasn't my dad. He treated my mom, he treats my mom right, but he wasn't my dad. You know, I wanted the love from my father, the one that brought me into this world and held me. I had a picture of him holding me, and I kept it in my wallet. And I even told Tyler this morning, I was like, man, I was looking for that picture. I told him, I said, man, I took the pictures out of my wallet. I know exactly where they're at. But I went home and looked for that picture. I couldn't find it. You know what it hit me? I got rid of that picture. I got rid of that picture when I started to realize I need to stop searching for the love of my earthly father and become right with my heavenly father. I got rid of that picture. That first time he was holding me like this, I got rid of it. I lived my whole life trying to satisfy him through my accolades, through everything I was doing. You want to know the first time I thought he was proud of me? I was about 15 years old, or 16, I just started driving. Me and my cousin, who I always was with, we went riding down to his house. He lived 10 miles down the road and wouldn't come see us. One day, me and my brother got off the school bus. We were in middle school. We were walking up the street to our trailer, and he hits the horn and throws his hand up and keeps it moving. Didn't see him. So I'm driving to his house at 16 years old. And we get to talking. We're cutting up. I'm like, man, this is cool. I'm getting to have this conversation with my dad. And he started asking me questions. Hey, you been with a girl yet? Yeah. Oh, boy, that's my boy. He was proud of me. I was like, yeah, maybe I'm doing something right. What else have you done? I've smoked a little bit. Yeah, boy, that's my boy. You be careful. Don't do it in front of the wrong people. I tried to say the fatherly thing, but he really should have put a belt on me and said, don't do that. But that wasn't it. So I felt the connection like, yeah, I got this relationship. We're going to have this. I went another 2-3 years, didn't see him. Seen him at that football game that he didn't stay at. Seen him at my college graduation, didn't see him much more. So I was searching for that love my whole life. Searching. Some of you still may be searching. But when I tell you that your Heavenly Father always loves you, I mean it. I mean it. And I mean it because now I've had the opportunity to speak in front of church and know what it means to stand up here. I've had the opportunity to see my daughter grow. And she's one of the smartest human beings I know, and she's only 5, about to be 6. I got an opportunity to have the meanest son, the meanest 2-year-old I've ever seen in my life. And I love every minute of it. I get a chance to mentor youth. I get a chance to talk to football players and the students. I get a chance to do that. On Wednesday, I had a boy sitting in a stairway in the gym crying. I've never talked to him. I've shot basketball with him, but I've never had a conversation with him. But it looked like he was going through something. So I sat down right beside him, and I told him, dude, you're not alone. My wife told me a story just the other day of a 5th grader who was cutting herself because she thinks she shouldn't be here. She's not worthy. That pain covers up the pain inside. I understand that. I know it's real. I know we all want to be accepted. But I'm going to tell you right now, you are accepted. Right there. That's all that matters. That's the only acceptance we should be seeking. Everything on this earth can be taken from us just like that. Just like that. And the first time I had anger put in my heart, I was 10 years old, real bottled up anger and started blaming the world for everything, is when an adult made a decision that he couldn't come back from. My best friend was 10 years old, got in the car with his dad. Loved riding with his dad. We were going to stay that weekend together. But he went with his dad. He loved being with his dad. On Sunday, my mom gets in the car and says, we're going to church. We get about to church. I'm like, something's wrong with Mom. What's wrong? She said, Brandon, I thought you was going to see the paper beside you. Orlando was his name. Never forget it. My best friend. 10 years old. Died in a car wreck. Dad was driving impaired. Dad was either high on something, drunk, whatever. Something happened. I no longer have Orlando. His mama no longer has her son, her baby boy. His older sister and older brother no longer have their baby brother. Just like that. He was excited to get in that car. I know he was. But that wasn't the hand he was dealt. He didn't choose. He didn't choose for his daddy to make the mistake he made. His dad was still living. And I asked God, why is he living and Orlando's not? Why? But as you come closer to God, you'll understand his grace and understand that life works through him. Some questions we can't answer, and we can't seek the answers to those because it's not our questions to have the answers to. But if you're feeling pain, please understand this. The circumstances you were born into were not your choice. They're not your choice. I was dealt this hand that meant nothing. But there's a point in your life, and all of you are at that point right now. Most of you are further along than others. Some of you are still a little young. You have a choice to take the deck from the dealer and pick out your own hand. You have that choice. Make the right choice. You have a group of people who love you, who are always here for you. I wish I would have had that. If I would have been sitting in a room like this, I wish I would have been smart enough to say, hey, I need the Lord. I need him. It took me a long time. It took me to hit rock bottom to understand that. So, as you're sitting here thinking, and Tyler's going to come to the stage, and you're thinking about the next choice you need to make, I can tell you right now, these words, we use it with our football team. I use it in my life every day. All in. All in means you are giving everything you got to every part of your life. But the first part of your life you need to take a hold of is your relationship with Christ. That's the first thing you really need to think about. It took me a long time to understand that. You have the support here at CrossPoint, and man, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what I've seen tonight, the joy you had when you walked in to come here. Savannah, it's like, this is unbelievable. Aaron is unbelievable. You have that choice. Make the right one.
If we're all honest, we could all, there's some part of that story that every one of us can relate to. We have things going on in our lives that nobody knows about, that hurt, that drag us down. But the same thing that Brandon found and Brandon talked about is available for all you guys. And it's just a matter of you believing it and you accepting it in your heart. Here in a second, we're just going to pray. And everybody needs prayer for something. Whether you know Jesus, you've accepted him before, you still got stuff going on in your life. Whether you don't know him, whether you've never heard about him before, whether this is your first time in church, you are meant to hear what was said tonight. So now for this next little time, I want it to be just you and God, you talking to him, you opening up your heart to him, so that he can use you the same way that he's used Brandon, and he's using Aaron, and he's using the people in the back, and Pastor Paul, and all those people, the same way that he uses those people. He has a plan for you too. He's got a purpose for you too. And that purpose is bigger than any of those negative thoughts that you might relate to, or any bad thing that's happened in your life. That purpose, that plan is bigger. So right now, what I want everybody to do, I just want you to close your eyes. I just want you to bow your heads, and I just want you to be you and God right now. I don't care about the person beside of you. If you need to move away from somebody so it's just you separated, that's on you too. But here now, if you've got something going on in your life, and it's a big thing, it's a little thing, it's a parent thing, it's a school thing, it's just being at home thing. If that's you right now, our whole purpose in doing youth and having a church is to help you guys get closer to Christ. If that's you now, all I want to do is pray for you. If you say that's me, I got something going on, somebody may not even know about it, I just want you to slip your hand up real quick so I know who I'm praying for. And there's hands everywhere. You're not alone in this. Dear Lord, we ask right now that no matter what situations are going on in these people's lives, even if they didn't raise their hand, even if they're not at that point where they're comfortable raising their hand, that you work in their lives, God. You provide strength, you provide wisdom, you provide healing, whatever it is that they need, Lord, you know that need. Even before they even decided to raise their hand or come tonight, you knew it. And that's why they're here, that you just provide that for them. Some of you tonight, you've come to church a lot. Maybe you've accepted Christ into your heart before, but some of you maybe haven't. And maybe this is your first time ever even coming to church, but right now we just want to give you that opportunity to make that same choice that Brandon was talking about, and that every adult in this room can tell you that they made was the best choice that they've ever made. And that's accepting Jesus into their life, accepting him into your heart, and having him guide you and lead you and fulfill what he has for you. Right now, we're going to give you that opportunity, and it's not some magical set of words. It's not me praying for you. It's if you just truly accept him into your heart. I'm going to say a prayer, and if you truly want that in your life, just repeat after me. And again, it's not my prayer. It's not a magical set of words that saves you. But if that's something that you want to do, just say something like this. Say, "Dear Jesus, I know that I'm a sinner. And right now, Lord, I need you in my life. I'm not perfect, but I don't need to be for you. I make you the king of my heart, and I accept you into my life. Jesus, I know you came, and I know that you died to forgive me of my sins." If that's you today, if you said that prayer and you meant it, you may not have even said it out loud, you may have just said it in your head. If that's you today, and that's you prayed that and you meant it, what we want to do is we just want to celebrate. There's people in the back that will be glad to grab you and talk to you. If you want somebody to talk to, Pastor Carl is back there. Kim, his wife, is back there. I'm up here. The wife is here. Nick, grab an adult. But if that's you, we just want to celebrate. We want to help you with your next step with that, because it doesn't end at being saved. That's just the beginning. God's got better things for you, but you got to let us know so we can help. If that's you, if you made that decision here today, what I want you to do is just real quick. Nobody's looking around. Everybody's heads are bowed, eyes are closed. But But if that's you, I just want you to slip your hand up really quick. If you made that prayer today, I see that one to my left. Thank you for that one. Maybe you didn't raise your hand. If you didn't, that's okay. But if you made that decision, there's some people in the back who wouldn't mind talking to you. If you raised your hand, I just want you to slip out the back and find somebody in the back. And you may even do it after we finish this next song, but find an adult. Don't let this be the last thing that you leave it at. Find somebody to talk to. They're going to do another song here. Find an adult during that time or right when we finish. You just made the best decision that you can make. Your life is changed. Your life is now you're going to spend eternity in heaven. But there's still things here to do on earth. And so you may not have raised your hand. You may not be ready to do that. But find one of us. Talk to us about it. That's why we do everything. That's why we have church. That's why we have youth. That's why we go do all these other things. It's so that you all can come to know Christ. Dear Lord, we thank you for this time that we've had together. We thank you for our speakers. We thank you for the movement that you're having in people's lives. Even if hands weren't raised for being saved, we know that you had something for everybody. Right now, I just ask that you're with us through the rest of this time and through this last song. And I ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Oh, he's waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. Touching every heart, I worship you, I worship you, and you are here, healing every heart, I worship you, I worship you, and you are here, and you're turning lives around. I worship you, and I worship you. You are here, you're mending every heart. I worship you, oh, I worship you. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper. that you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working.